At the beginning of the year, I offered the students a challenge. I said that since we were going to take this journey to India, that if we took this curriculum that we had been developing and developed it further and made it our own, that there was a chance that we could have the opportunity to speak with the Dalai Lama. Because the curriculum was based on his book, Ethics for the New Millennium. So the challenge was to develop a curriculum that would really be worth showing him. And so he's taken what are fundamentally religious principles, but they're also universal principles, because he realizes, I think, that often culture and history might divide us, but the fact that we're all human beings together regardless is something that we need to focus on. So he has really begun an exploration of secular ethics, and he's particularly interested in how ethics and human values can be brought into the educational field. So after we did all this work for almost a year, starting in September, 8 months, we took the journey to India to actually speak with him. So the video that follows is the conversation that the students had with him, where they were asking questions that had come up in the process of developing the curriculum. And it gives you, in some ways, a sense of what the curriculum is about. Your Holiness, thank you so much for seeing us. I'd like to begin by showing you some of the students' work that they've been doing, because our desire and my work is to try to figure out how to bring ethics and human values into the educational system. That's my main work.
Wonderful.
So let's begin. Vivian, you want to show the wall of kindness? So this is the wall of kindness, to explain to him what this is about, and I'll navigate for you.
Well, hello, my name is Vivian. Once you were quoted saying, "My religion is kindness," well, we've created this website called The Wall of Kindness, where people can share random acts of kindness that they hear about or witness. And we hope that it encourages others to perform random acts of kindness, because we believe that it is important so that we may cultivate a more compassionate world for future generations.
Hello, my name is Jake. This is a website called Ethicality that we created. It's our intention to begin a dialogue about values and ethics throughout the world. And so this website is somewhere where students can join and share their opinions by signing up. And we have 7 topics in which we can have broad headings for the different kinds of ethics that we're discussing. They're the same 7 topics that we chose for our companion book, which you'll see next as our chapters. If you go inside one of the chapters, like this is a question of happiness, and you'll see that there's multiple different topics that students have started the conversation on. And inside the conversation, you'll see the different layers of conversation that people have been having about happiness and what it means.
So in addition to the websites, we've created an ebook, which is a companion book to Ethics for the New Millennium. So here, you click on it, and then it opens up to the title of the book, Living Our Lives, and the overarching question, which is, what do we need to know about ethics and human values on the journey of life?
So we had kind of seen it as a companion book to Ethics for the New Millennium. And we found the 7 different topics in Ethics for the New Millennium that we thought were most important and relevant and useful to us and had the most in them. And our goal was to find a way to take those topics and create a curriculum with which we could have a discussion and you can learn and start conversations about those different topics.
So, Your Holiness, I thought in the exploration of ethics and human values in education that it was useful to have the students decide what was meaningful,
Right.
and to have them begin the
Right.
conversation.
Right.
And my job was simply to give them the task and to try to provide a little bit of guidance, not too much. So now we have some questions that we brought that we think would be very helpful in us completing this curriculum. And so,
Firstly, I would like to express my deep appreciation since my childhood. Often, I think the very year when I born, there already some violence start in, I think, China. Sino-Japanese, sort of some conflict about to begin or already start. Then soon, Second World War. Then Korean War, Vietnam War. Even today, 21st century, some ugly things and in different parts of the world. These certainly man-made problem. Now, logically, we human beings, we also have the ability to reduce such things. Now, technology, very helpful, but sometimes technology also additional sort of, what's the factor to increase these suffering. And also, the technology brings a lot of fear. I think mobile or these things, very, very helpful. Although I myself, you see, cannot handle quite well. One time, it's one because mobile. When someone is talking to me, I hear, then I reply. I put this way. That my secretary say, not necessary to keep like that. So such an inexperienced person, ignorant person. So this technology is really very, very helpful. But still, this technology, whether can be constructive or destructive, not very sure. Technology itself, no brain, no moral ethics to judge. And then, existing modern education. I think some of these troublemakers, as far as their brain is concerned, very smart. And education also very good. But due to something lacking, so their brilliant brain, full of knowledge, also sometimes helping to create more problem, more suffering to others. So then only thing is brain and moral principle. Moral principle here, I usually used to talking, the sense of concern of others' well-being. as a we social animal, my own future entirely depends on rest of the community. So I have to take care about the basis of my own future. Out of awareness, out of realistic sort of thinking, then you can develop genuine sort of sense of concern of others' well-being and respect their right, respect their life. So that's moral principle. Not talking about God, about Buddha or next life or these things. Simply how to carry happy life, day-to-day life. How to carry meaningful, sensible life. If you can help other, if you can serve other, do it. If not, at least restrain harming other. That's a meaningful life. And that goes day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, decade to decade. That whole your life become meaningful life. You yourself also automatically be happier. Wherever you go, wherever you meet people, you will receive by genuine smile, warm feeling. If you yourself, you see, keep some different motivation, then go meeting with different people. Or if you have some power, or if you are wealthy, maybe it is received to you by smile, but smile, more artificial smile. Sometimes artificial smile develop more suspicion, more distrust, rather than satisfaction. Isn't it? Isn't it? Perhaps I think younger people may be less experienced. I think my generation, we have used that kind of experience, isn't it? Oh, shaking hand very firmly, but in deep inside, some suspicion. and also, you see, thinking how to take advantage on that person. Clear? So that's today's sort of situation. That is the source of problem. That, you see, cannot eliminate through just a mere existing education. There are education which is oriented about material value, not talking about inner value. Then religion, all major religious tradition, talking about inner value. But sometimes, you see, some individual, you see, find it difficult, you see, to accept the religious system or faith, difficult. So, now recently I saw one report, I think a few months ago. I saw, maybe you also may saw that. It mentioned out of 7 billion human beings, about 1 billion human beings they consider non-believer. So then, a quite big portion, 1 billion. Then, among 6 billion who suppose believer, but among them, those supposed to be believer, but still do not much care about violence or about sort of, the negative things, scandals, corruptions. Even among religious people. Sometimes I always talk more frankly, straightforward, sometimes quite bluntly. So sometimes I telling people, the religion sometimes teach us how to act hypocrisy. Telling, very nice thing, doing something different. Clear? So all these, even among those 6 billion who suppose to believe deeper value, moral value, but their deeper sort of value and moral remain in the church, in the temple, outside church, outside temple, not much. So therefore, now we have to think very seriously. In education field, some sort of, program about education for warm-heartedness, not as something, as the faith or blessing or God something, or Buddha, but rather our daily life, and also according scientific sort of finding, more calm mind, more compassionate mind, health is better. The healthy mind, healthy body, very much link. In that field, I also usually have some experience, I think. But then, sometimes I myself is a little sort of wondering, what's the matter? My life passing through quite turbulent sort of life, difficult, a lot of sort of problems. But comparatively, my mind quite peaceful, quite calm. So the immediate benefit from that is my own sort of my own health and happy mind, also the happy days. So these now I realize, and also the according scientific sort of scientific sort of explanation, I found peace of mind. Peace of mind is really brought this benefit. So we all 7 billion human beings, same human being, same right, achieve happy life, a peaceful life. I think 7 billion, including those troublemaker, basically they also want a peaceful life, peaceful world. Clear? So now we have to sort of educate in education field. These moral principle is something really immense benefit day-to-day life. So that usually I call secular ethics, through secular way of approach. When I use the word secular, some my friend feel secular carry the meaning of some little sort of negative towards religion. That is a certain sort of concept where some people understand it in that way. But here in this country, India's constitution itself based on secular. So therefore, in this country, last over 3,000 years, the secular means respect all religions, no preference this religion or that religion, and also secular means respect non-believer. So now, when I talk secular, according to that understanding, respect all religions, no sort of preference this religion, that religion. I am Buddhist. I equally respect all major religions. In the philosophical field, you see, we have differences. Sometimes, you see, we have sort of a lot of because of the argument or discussion. But all teach us warm-heartedness, truthful, honest, and patience, tolerance, forgiveness. All religions, all major religions, teaching these things. So then these different philosophical views is the same purpose to bring more conviction about these values. So is he talking about Creator, God. God means infinite love. So more faith, God, and this very life created by God, the infinite love, full of love, mercy, then automatically you develop some kind of more willingness to follow, to practice love, compassion. The Islam also same, Christian, Judaism, many other traditions, same. So different philosophy is so they bring some kind of because of the backing or support about the practice of these values, these moral ethics. So, different approach, but same aim, same goal. Clear? So now we also see facing non-believer there. So we must find ways and means to bring conviction in these people who may be very anti-religion. Okay, but this should be more compassionate person. That's my main interest. So, number of occasions I express these things. Now I'm very happy. You see, you keep in your mind some of my sort of idea very seriously. So not only you see you keep seriousness about these things, but also you already because of the start some sort of some real sort of action. So I very much appreciate. So whatever way I can make some sort of contribution, some support, that's my duty. I always ready. So no more questions, some discussions. Even you have some sort of argument, welcome. I think the proper way to study is not just to copy from book or just to keep memory about what teacher told you, but you yourself analyze and raise a lot of questions, then analyze. That's the way to get real understanding. So the result, see, your certain sort of understanding or certain views based on reasons or analytical sort of meditation. Then someone say, "Oh, that's wrong." Then you are not sort of easily accept their different views because you already analyze, think seriously. Otherwise, it's just copy from books or just to keep, what teachers say. And another person say, "Oh, that's wrong. That's like this." You see, some different explanation come. And you may feel, "Oh, that may be true." Clear? So understanding just based on hearing is very shallow. Shallow. So shaky. So analyze through discussion and raise doubt and opposite sort of questions. Then think. That's very, very important. Yes. Questions now?
Yes. Hello, my name is Brooke, and we began this process of working on our section of the ethics curriculum about a year ago. And we've come across a lot of challenges from really understanding the concepts in Ethics for the New Millennium to making the subject of ethics interesting and relevant to members of our generation. So we're very curious to know what are the questions we should be asking or actions that we should be taking in order to help inspire a dialogue about ethics between young people.
I think mainly if you observe today's reality of the world, 7 billion human beings, everyone want no longer any problem, but a lot of problem, our own creation. Those people who really create a lot of problem, they themselves, you see, actually, I think, I often used to telling people, express, that even those people who really troublemaker, I think in the morning when they got up, I think at least they wish, "Oh, today I may face less problem." Nobody out of 7 billion, nobody feel, "Oh, today I must create more problem. I want to face more trouble, more problem." I think nobody feel that. Then why some people, you see, deliberately create problem? So today's the existing sort of situation, something wrong. Nature disaster beyond our control. That's different. But man-made problem, we have responsibility. So that I think we have to sort of analyze today's sort of world, today's reality, then raise question, why this happened? Due to lack of money? Yes, in underdeveloped countries. Even in the United States, there's huge gap, rich and poor. Among the poor family, some kind of frustrations. Frustration sometimes create violence. So economy also uses some contribution. But mainly, I think global level, I think mainly something lacking here. So now how to, and that all the major religious tradition last over 1,000 years, 2,000 years. You see, teach us, but more or less fail. Fail, I mean, you see, not Kasota. A lot of sort of good people, you see, come from this teaching, good, but still not adequate to some people. You see, still not much sort of convinced. And then those Kasota, non-believer, of course, not much interest on these things. So we have to find new method to bring new awareness about this inner value. So on the basis of reality, analyze, and raise a lot of questions. This is my view. We cannot say, oh, you should practice this, you must practice this. No, we cannot say. So, discuss. More, I mean, judge those people who have more inner values, more loving kindness there, human affection there. Their family much happier. Economically may not be very successful, but still a very happy family. Then those family, billionaire, very rich family, but lack of trust among family members, or lack of and suspicion. Eventually, you see the lack of trust. Then suspicion come. More suspicion there. How can achieve? How can sort of enjoy very happy family life? Difficult. Some jealousy, and then develop sort of frustration, distrust. Sometimes I really feel those middle class people, and I think everywhere, I think India and also in America, I think in the farmland, small cottage, and some tractors, and there springtime or summertime, autumn, winter, they have certain sort of works in the field, and occasionally some vacation. I think maybe happier than big family in New York City or Los Angeles. It's a lot of money, but always worry about money. And then particularly these days, some global economic crisis happen. I think those people who carry simple life and made their life by their own hand, maybe less effect global economy, isn't it? Those big families, billionaires, I think more effect. So more worry. I think if we study carefully, those people who only think money, I think more worry, more sadness, more anxiety. Those people who their top priority is friendship, happy family. I think even economy, some difficulties, but they really enjoy, I think, a happy family life, I think. This I feel. So these money alone will not bring happy family, happy society. So inner values. Inner value, religion, wonderful, but limitation. So no matter one religion, some wonderful, but you see, cannot be universally acceptable. Right? So now education is universally accepted. Now in education field, say without touching religion is individual matter, individual business. But this moral ethics is the humanity need that. So that's my view. I am Buddhist. I myself practice Buddhist university method, Buddhist training. But I never touch, when I talk people, when I discuss with scientists, I never touch about Buddhist as a concept. Simply our common today. Common values like that. Yes?
Your Holiness, my name is Bryson. And what was one of the greatest events in developing you ethically as a young person?
I don't know. That's difficult to say. I think when, say, I become monk, not out of my choice. I think almost 3-4 years, people give me name of reincarnation of Dalai Lama. I have no other choice, but except you should go that way. Then my study, I think till 15 years sort of age, not much interest about learning, compulsory. Sometimes out of fear of my tutor. Sometimes when I sort of I thought if I do that,
recite text that
when he sort of examines my knowledge, if something not satisfy for him, sometimes he showed me. So out of fear, you see, I study. Then around, I think 15, 16, then I developed some interest. So, you see, these practice of love, compassion, these things. Then I developed some interest. Then age 16, I carry responsibility, about temporal responsibility. A lot of problems. Already the Chinese so-called liberation already started. Very difficult. Then eventually become a refugee. At my age, 24. So rest of my whole life, I remain outside as a refugee. In the meantime, a lot of problems, mainly inside Tibet. All those Tibetans, around 6 million, they really put full trust on me, put a lot of hope. So moral responsibility. But I cannot do much. So then, through difficult life, I developed full conviction. This inner value is the best your friend. No matter what change, external thing. These values, very, very reliable, and keep your mind more peaceful. Like that.
Thank you.
And then also, as a result of meeting with a variety of people, some are very rich. And when we met, after sort of exchange just a few nice words, then become a little more sort of acquaintance way. Then the real feeling, real experience then express. Then I found very rich because of the famous people. When the real sort of deeper sort of feeling express, I notice unhappy person. Like that. So this is very, very helpful, you see, to learn, real sort of source of happiness is within ourselves. Not money, not material value, not fame, not mere education, but here, moral principle. And nowadays, I think last now nearly 30 years, meeting with scientists in different fields, mainly medical scientists. Now they, through their own sort of research work, they found more calm mind is really sort of helpful to calm mind or self-confidence and inner strength. These are the basis of sort of happy mind, calm mind. Like that.
I'm Amber, and we were wondering, are ethics something that arise naturally in a human being, or are they something that must be cultivated in an individual?
I believe by nature, biological factor. Look, even animal, like dog or cat, or even some birds also, as soon as they are youngster or they are children born, the mother's affection create full of energy, take care of their youngster. The youngster side also is totally relying on mother. There's a very closeness feeling there. One time in Lhasa, I saw a small kitten. So the immediate the birth, you see, their eye still not open. I saw, and then moving where the mother's the nipple. Then once, as soon as the nipple is found in their mouth, then that's not come from religious faith. Biological factor now. Because it need, unless the others care there, they cannot survive. So that's a biological factor. So in order to bring the energy from mother side, or those other sort of the other who to take care, you see, in order to develop that kind of energy, enthusiasm, compassion, love is the key source. So that's a biological factor. So we also come from our mother. Sometimes I jokingly telling people, some stories, some great saints born from lotus. So sometimes I jokingly telling, those great saints who born from lotus, they may have more affection towards lotus rather than a human being. So from that viewpoint, we are quite fortunate. You see, we come from our mother. So we develop this affection. So mainly biological factor. Then the beginning or source of these values are biological factor. Then gradually, I think, you see, your age, through education, and eventually you start, you see, your life, and if you see your life more successful, then you really got feeling of independence. Now no need any others help. I survived, I can do more independence. So then I think we develop some kind of false views or the false I think false view. Those real value of human being, biological factor, that gradually dormant. Dormant. Our intelligence then become dominance. Intelligence and also the circumstances is sometimes help to increase aggressiveness. So because of that, we must, we should cultivate or nurture these potential which we all have at a young age. Now that through awareness, beginning biological factor, then later through education, through awareness, realize these things are ultimate source of healthy body, healthy family, healthy mind. That I think through education. Then in a way, nurturing or cultivate. So maybe it's in both. Later part, I think necessary, cultivate. Further further strengthening out of awareness. Next question.
Hello, my name is Joseph. Since we live in an interconnected world where we are inevitably tied to the suffering of others, how much of that suffering should we take personal responsibility for? And how do we accept the suffering that is beyond our control?
There's a sense of concern of others' well-being. There are different levels. One sense of concern of others' well-being combined with awareness. Now, for example, person who facing some problem, you already see the possibility to overcome that problem. And with that awareness, then develop sense of concern is more the Jomdusati.
And you wish to actually save the person or from that.
Actually, it's the wish or the desire, want to eliminate their problem, because you already see the possibility of overcome that problem. So that kind of, sort of sense of concern is combined with knowledge or wisdom. That brings more enthusiasm rather than sort of sadness. Another sort of sense of concern of others' well-being, now really helpless. For example, nature disaster happen. Then only thing is pray to God, or pray to Buddha, or think about karma. That's sad. Nothing can be done. So that kind of sort of compassion, sense of concern or compassion may have some kind of discouraged way. Really helpless, hopeless. But other one, full of sort of enthusiasm. I must do something because there is possibility to overcome that. So I think there are different levels of compassion or sense of concern. One with full of conviction, and then inner strength to do something. Other, helpless. Oh, sorry, sad, maybe cry. That's all. Yes, then you see when you face this because of helpless, then another sort of advice. from one great Indian Buddhist master, 8th century, from Nalanda. His writing, I think, still very, very helpful. I think if you have some interest, you should look at that. So there, he mentioned when we face some problem and analyze whether that problem can overcome or not. If that problem can overcome through action, then no need worry. Then that tragedy, now no way to overcome, then no use too much worry. It's quite realistic. I accept, yes, very sad, very bad, but it happened, okay. Like that. Next question.
Hello, Your Holiness. My name is Amy. My question is, what do we do when we see that some cultural practices and beliefs are in conflict with universal human values?
Sometimes I feel this is certain the aspect of culture. Now, for example, in this country, in India, caste system, caste system, part of their culture. But that kind of culture is actually outdated. So now modern society, democratic society, and everybody equal. So such sort of certain concept, habit, may have some link with certain sort of faith. But these, I think we have to sort of change. I heard once one island in Pacific where female is dominant. I heard. So I think we should learn so that culture. But sometimes, even in a democratic country, sometimes you see female no right to voting, isn't it? Now these things changed. I think Great Britain also, I think. In America also, I think. So these, I think the politicians, you see, these leaders, time change, so they change certain sort of habit. So among religious tradition, I think religion itself, I believe is teaching, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, these things, in order to develop more sort of enthusiasm or more conviction about this. Use concept of creator, concept of rebirth, concept of karma, or the law of action, like that. These are the main sort of teaching. Still, I think, for example, male monk considered a little superior than nun. So you see some feminist who become Buddhist, but still you see feminist sort of view. So sometimes they very much critical about these things. So I think some of these things may need some sort of modification, some change. I feel like that. So I think we have to judge. So the real meaning is we should make two aspects: cultural aspect and religious aspect. Religious aspect, I think, I always see telling people, and also I feel the religious aspect really dealing with our emotion. So emotion is concerned 1,000 years ago, and today's human beings' emotion more or less same, I think. So, for example, the Buddha's teaching, dealing with emotion, that 21st century's people also more or less same emotion. Therefore, you see, the method should be same. But the cultural aspect, now time change and modernized and more sort of because of the technology, these things. So different sort of cultural aspect come. So that aspect, I think we should consider. We should adjust according to circumstances. So distinction, real teaching of the tradition and cultural aspect. Clear?
I am Sonica. And I was wondering, many of the conflicts in the world are between groups that have been at war for ages. How do you think we can bridge the gaps?
The cultures that have been at war for many generations.
I think again, realistic education. So you see, my late tutor, von Weizsäcker, told me, when he was young, every German eye, French is their enemy. And similarly, in the eyes of French, German, their enemy. But that kind of concept completely changed, he mentioned. And then also, you see, I asked some sort of young Europeans, previously, you see, divided these things. I asked some German, what do you feel, France? They feel, oh, our good neighbor. I think that kind of a feeling. Then also I noticed Japanese, America, you see, brought a lot of suffering, a lot of destruction on Japan's way, and including 2 nuclear weapons. But you see, I asked quite number of Japanese, do you feel some negative things toward America? No, American. They say no. So they really practice of forgiveness. I think through education, through awareness, through close link, then these can reduce. So you see, I think the best thing, you see, think, reality, and think oneness of humanity. That I think is very, very important. National boundary, religious differences, minor, secondary. The important thing is all 7 billion human beings are same. We have to live on this planet. Like environment sort of issue. No national boundary, no difference on the basis of religious faith, but entire humanity. We have to work together. So similarly, I think the people, yes, this is the connection. We Tibetan, culturally different, but thinking the global level or common interest. I always telling Tibetan, better live together. So that I think very, very important. Too much emphasis, secondary level of differences. Forget oneness of the fundamental oneness. I think many problems we are facing today, not due to the Kasachuti, not due to sort of sameness of human being, but rather secondary level of differences. So sometimes we consider secondary level of differences are more important than forgetting about oneness of human being. That I think mistake. So moral education, as I mentioned earlier, basically we 7 billion human beings. We are human brothers, sisters. That I think multicultural, multiracial countries sometimes is very helpful. Like now America, multicultural, multiracial. And India, multicultural, multilanguage. Then next question.
Okay.
Yes.
Your Holiness, my name is Daniel, and I would like to know, what place does individual conscious choice
have within the realm of cause and effect?
No. One is a common level, one individual level. The common level from those traditions, including Buddhism and also Jainism and another Sankhya philosophy, all Indian tradition, all are ancient Indian tradition. So according to these sort of tradition, no creator, everything is a law of causality, cause and effect, cause and effect. So now like Big Bang, also due to law of causality. That's beyond our control. Individual, nothing can be done. According to the cosmology, our whole sort of not only one galaxies, but the whole cosmos. I think our galaxies, you see, moving towards one direction. Then another galaxies is coming same direction. I think a few years ago, it's one meeting. You see, they mentioned like that. So after sort of, I think a few billions of years, then these two galaxies will crash. Then I think also we topple maker, then finished. So these things beyond our control. It's a common sort of law of causality. Now individual, say you are a young person, so your future, happy future or miserable future depend you. Depend yourself, mainly. Although you see certain things may be sort of favorable, sometimes unfavorable, but ultimately you have the sort of because of the opportunity, as I mentioned earlier. My life, quite a difficult life, but I have the sort of opportunity to keep peace of mind. As a result, last now over 53 years, 54 years, I remain. Perhaps occasionally I lose my temper, and they got some scold sometimes. So sometimes you see some emotions come, but otherwise you see my mind quite peaceful, quite happy, like that. So one individual future, that much depend on your own action and motivation. Sometimes same action, but can be positive, negative because of motivation. Action level appears big differences. Someone positive. Now, for example, you see, from sort of say motivation. Now, for example, try to take advantage on someone or cheating someone. And with that motivation, smile and a nice word, and sometimes even use some gift. These actions looks positive, but because of the motivation, want to cheat, want to take advantage. So negative. Then out of genuine sense of concern and frankly criticize and use harsh word, even if it's some physical sort of harsh sort of the action, out of sense of concern, then these are positive. So the ultimately, and also say happy life, unhappy life, successful life, unsuccessful life. I think money matter, unsuccess, but person can remain happy. Then okay, that I think basically that person's life, successful life. Economically, very successful, but as person, very unhappy person, then I don't think it consider successful life or happy life. Clear? So I think here Buddha or Buddhist tradition or Buddha says, you are your own master. So everything depends on yourself. Buddha says his responsibility is just show the right path. Whether you see get benefit or not, up to themselves. Like that. Thank you. Thank you. Once more, I really appreciate. Firstly, you see, open the young people's sort of mind. I very much appreciate. Then secondly, these young people, I usually is describing these young people whose age below 30, below 20, you are truly generation of 21st century. Our generation is the generation of 20th century. 20th century gone. 20th century becomes century of bloodshed, century of violence. Now this century should be century of peace. Peace does not mean no longer any problem. Problem will remain. Then method, solving the problem, use violence, then 20th century becomes century of violence. About, I think, 200 millions of people killed. Now this century, in order to be century of peace, we must, you see, create spirit of dialogue. No matter what differences, what major differences, we are same human being. We have to live together. So these disagreement, these different interests must solve within the concept of oneness of human being. Clear? Yeah. So that's the way, that's the real meaning of creation of peaceful century. So that's not our responsibility, your responsibility. Please think more seriously. Rest of your life have to spend on this planet. We, after 15, 20 years, we may go heaven. Then we will watching you, whether you see the generation of 21st century really developing, really create peaceful world or not. We will watch you.
When he came into the room, my heart was going pretty fast. I was nervous, but it was just an amazing interview, amazing talking to him.
To me, he seemed like very kind, open-hearted. You know, his laugh is well known, is very infectious. And
I liked how he would look people in the eyes while he was laughing until they started laughing. Then he'd move on to somebody else. He was working to make sure that we could all be at that place for just a little bit.
Thank you. He seems just so genuinely happy all the time, and it's never like meeting someone who's all smiles. Like that seems fake. He seems real in his smiles and his general happiness just to be alive.
Everything he said was meaningful. There's nothing else to say.
After the Dalai Lama, every time I think about it, I always have that moment of, oh my gosh, I actually met with him. For someone who is so universally recognized as an incredible person, as a person of love and wisdom and things like that, I expected him to be more almost aloof. And even though we were asking him questions and he was answering them, it felt like what we asked and what we said mattered.
I did really feel loved and seen by him. And I think it's a really rare thing when you meet a person who just welcomes anyone he meets, goes in with the expectation to love another person.
Thank you very much. So, thank you. Bye-bye. I'm looking forward to see you in the future. And also I would like to hear your progress. Thank you.
We'll keep in touch.
Thank you. Thank you.